Thanks for your patience regarding the previous video. Hopefully the technical difficulties had been resolved. Now on to the story. The crimson silk of the Dior gown brushed against Amanda Smith's skin like a second heartbeat. Its elegance felt alien, a stark contrast to the utilitarian khakis she usually wore for field missions. Tonight she wasn't Amanda, the rising star of MI6. Tonight she was Lady Eleanor Ashton, a wealthy socialite with a penchant for Faberge eggs and scandal. The air crackled with nervous anticipation as Amanda surveyed the opulent ballroom of the Grand Kremlin Palace. Crystal chandeliers shimmered overhead, casting a kaleidoscope of light onto the polished marble floors. Laughter and hushed conversations formed a low hum that masked the tension Amanda could practically taste in the caviar-laden air. Her mission, codenamed Nightingale's Song, was audacious, bordering on suicidal. Infiltrate the most exclusive social gathering in Moscow, make contact with a high-ranking KGB defector codenamed Ghost, and secure a stolen document with the potential to shift the precarious balance of the Cold War. The document, Operation Paperclip, was rumored to be the blueprint for a devastating new Soviet weapon. Amanda scanned the room, searching for the prearranged signal, a silver cufflink adorned with a tiny bluebird. It was a long shot, a needle in a haystack of diplomats, oligarchs, and KGB agents masquerading as businessmen. Her gaze settled on a man across the room, his broad shoulders and sharp jawline marking him out from the crowd. A silver glint on his cufflink caught the light. A jolt of adrenaline surged through her. Ghost. Her heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs as she navigated the throng of well-dressed bodies, her smile fixed in a practiced mask of socialite boredom. The silver cufflink glinted tantalizingly close, and she felt a surge of triumph. She was about to make history. Amanda threaded her way through the crowd, her eyes never leaving the cufflink, her body tense and ready to spring into action. When she was close enough, she summoned her most dazzling smile, the one that had charmed even the most hardened of MI6 commanders. "Dmitri?" she breathed, her voice a husky whisper. He turned to her, his expression a mixture of surprise and wariness. "Lady Ashton," he said, his Russian accent thick. "I wasn't expecting to see you here." "Oh, Dmitri," she purred, laying a manicured hand on his arm. "I couldn't resist the opportunity to witness such an historic event. You know I've always had a fascination with Russian culture." She paused, lowering her voice further. "I'm here on a rather delicate matter. I need to speak with you about Ghost." Dmitri's eyes narrowed. "I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about." Amanda leaned in closer, her voice a barely audible whisper. "You don't want to play dumb with me, Dmitri. We both know you're involved. Now I need that document. And I need your help." She let the words hang in the air, letting the weight of her threat sink in. For a moment, Dmitri's expression was unreadable. Then, slowly, he nodded. "Very well," he said, leading her discreetly through a side door. "But you must understand, Lady Ashton, this information is highly sensitive. If anyone discovers what we're doing—" "Trust me," she said, her heart hammering in her chest. "We both know what happens if anyone discovers what we're doing." They wove through the dimly lit hallways, the echo of their footsteps the only sound. As they rounded a corner, Amanda saw the light glinting off the safe. Her heart leapt into her throat. This was it. She was so close. Dmitri keyed in the combination, the safe's heavy door groaning open. Inside, the document rested on a velvet pillow. Amanda reached out, her fingers trembling as she carefully took it from the safe. She couldn't help but feel a surge of triumph as she tucked it into her jacket. "You know," Dmitri said, his voice barely above a whisper, "there are those who would kill to get their hands on that." Amanda turned to him, her expression hard. "And you, Dmitri, are one of the few people I can trust to keep this secret." She paused, searching his face for any hint of duplicity. "You understand what this means, don't you? We're not just protecting our countries. We're saving the world. Dmitri nodded solemnly. I understand, he said, his voice barely audible. And I will not fail you, Lady Ashton. With that, they parted ways, each returning to their respective corners of the espionage world. The document, its secrets safely hidden, would remain their burden to bear. And as they disappeared into the shadows, they knew that the fate of the free world rested on their shoulders. In the weeks that followed, Amanda and Dmitri maintained their carefully crafted charades. She continued to charm and manipulate her way through the halls of power, while he quietly worked his magic in the shadows. It was a delicate dance, and one misstep could prove disastrous for both of them. But as they continued to play their parts, they couldn't help but wonder if their efforts were enough. The tension between their countries was at an all-time high, and the threat of war loomed large. They knew that the information they possessed was a double-edged sword. It could be used to protect their nations, but it could also be used to destroy them. Despite the risks, they couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie, a deep understanding of the burden they shared. In the end, it was this connection that sustained them through the darkest days. They knew that they were not alone in their knowledge, and that there was always the possibility of a future where their secret alliance could be brought into the light. For now, though, they must remain vigilant, their eyes always scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. The fate of the world hung in the balance, and they were the only ones who could keep it from falling. As they continued to navigate the treacherous waters of international politics, they knew that their bond would only grow stronger. It was a bond born of necessity, of secrecy, and of the knowledge that they were not alone in the darkness. In the quiet moments when they were able to step back from their roles, they would sometimes find themselves wondering what a future without the burden of their secret might look like. Perhaps they could find a way to reveal the truth, to bring their alliance into the light, and use it to forge a new path forward for their countries. But for now, that dream seemed as distant as the stars, and their focus remained fixed on the present, on the delicate dance they must continue to perform. As the weeks turned to months, Amanda and Dmitri found themselves facing new challenges, new threats, and new opportunities. The world around them changed, but their connection remained constant. They knew that they were not just allies, but kindred spirits, bound together by fate and the weight of their shared knowledge. And as they continued to navigate the shadows, they could not help but feel a quiet sense of hope, the hope that one day their secret might be revealed, and their world might finally find peace. But for now, their focus must remain on the present. They must remain vigilant, ever watchful for the slightest sign of betrayal or danger. They must continue to play their parts, to dance through the halls of power, to bend the wills of those who would seek to destroy the world. It was a task that demanded their utter dedication, their unwavering loyalty, and their unshakable courage. In the quiet moments when they were able to catch their breath, they would sometimes find themselves wondering how they had come to be where they were, how they had survived the trials and tribulations of their past. They knew that their bond was not just about politics or power, but about something deeper, something more profound. And as they looked into each other's eyes, they could see the reflection of their shared history, of the battles they had fought, of the sacrifices they had made, and of the future they dared to dream. The years passed, and Amanda and Dmitri continued to dance, their steps growing ever more practiced, their connection ever more unbreakable. They knew that they were not alone in the darkness, and that together, they could achieve great things. But for now, their focus must remain on the present, on the delicate balance of power that they held in their hands, and on the fragile hope that one day they might be able to reveal the truth, to bring their alliance into the light, and to forge a new future for the world they loved. Amanda's heart hammered a frantic tattoo against her ribs as she tucked the stolen document into a hidden compartment in her purse. A bead of sweat trickled down her temple, the air in the dimly lit corridor thick with the weight of their clandestine exchange. "We need to move fast," Dmitri murmured, his voice a low rasp. "Victor has a nose for trouble, and the longer we're gone." His sentence trailed off, but the unspoken threat hung heavy in the air. Viktor Petrov, a ruthless KGB operative with a reputation for brutality, was Dmitri's nemesis, and Amanda knew his suspicions could spell disaster. Suddenly, a sharp cough echoed from around the corner, sending a jolt of adrenaline through them. Amanda's hand instinctively reached for the silenced Walther PPK holstered at her hip. "Just a janitor," Dmitri muttered, his grip tightening on her arm as he steered her towards a side door leading to a deserted service staircase. "But it serves as a reminder. We can't afford any slip-ups." Amanda nodded, her mind racing. The near miss had rattled her, a stark reminder of the razor's edge they were walking. She couldn't help but wonder if Dmitri had truly defected, or if this was all an elaborate KGB plot. The stolen document, Operation Paperclip, felt heavy against her skin, a burden and a bargaining chip all at once. They descended the narrow staircase in silence, the rhythmic click of their heels the only sound in the oppressive quiet. As they reached the bottom floor, a muffled commotion filtered through a nearby door. "What is it?" Amanda whispered, her gaze darting nervously around the dimly lit corridor. Dmitri pressed a finger to his lips, his face grim. He slowly approached the door, his body tense with anticipation. Amanda followed close behind, her senses on high alert. Through a crack in the doorway, they saw two figures wrestling in a dimly lit storage room. One, a burly man in a janitor's uniform, lay sprawled on the floor. The other, a tall, thin man with a shock of red hair, was rifling through the janitor's pockets. Viktor Petrov. A surge of panic flooded Amanda. They had stumbled upon Petrov searching one of his own agents, likely suspicious of Dmitri's defection. "We need to get out of here," she hissed, her voice barely a whisper. Dmitri hesitated for a moment, his eyes fixed on the struggle unfolding before them. Then, with a resigned sigh, he nodded. They turned to flee, but the sound of the storage room door creaking open froze them in their tracks. Petrov emerged, his face contorted in a sneer. His gaze landed on them, and a predatory glint flickered in his eyes. "Well, well," he drawled, his voice laced with amusement. "Look what the cat dragged in." Amanda swallowed hard, her hand tightening around the Walther. There was no escape. They were trapped. Petrov's chilling laughter echoed through the sterile corridor. He sauntered towards them, his every step radiating menace. Amanda's mind raced, searching for an escape route. The service entrance they just used was their only exit, and it was now cut off. "Trying to sneak out on a little rendezvous, Dmitri?" Petrov taunted, a cruel glint in his eyes. "And who might this lovely lady be? Your replacement heartthrob?" "Don't listen to him," Dmitri growled, stepping protectively in front of Amanda. "She has nothing to do with this." "Oh, come now, Dmitri," Petrov scoffed, circling them like a predator stalking its prey. "We both know that's a lie. Spill it. What information has she wheedled out of you?" Amanda forced a smile, injecting a steely glint into her own eyes. "Actually, Mr. Petrov, I believe you have me mistaken. I'm simply a concerned citizen, worried about the state of your, shall we say, hygiene protocols?" She gestured towards the unconscious janitor. Petrov's smile faltered for a moment, a flicker of suspicion crossing his features. Amanda knew it was a gamble, a desperate attempt to throw him off track. "A concerned citizen with a very expensive taste in clothing, wouldn't you say?" He sneered, his gaze lingering on Amanda's designer outfit. "Simply a gift from a generous admirer," Amanda countered, her voice laced with practiced nonchalance. "Perhaps you should be more concerned with the real issue at hand, your negligent janitorial staff." The tension in the air crackled, either side willing to back down. Suddenly, a high-pitched whine pierced the silence. Amanda's heart skipped a beat. It was the emergency alarm, triggered by the unconscious janitor's struggle. "Seems our little game is up," Petrov muttered, his gaze flicking towards the approaching sound of footsteps. Dmitri threw Amanda a desperate look. There's a ventilation shaft further down the corridor. It leads outside. You need to get out of here. What about you? She countered, her voice tight with worry. I'll create a diversion, Dmitri said, determination hardening his features. Go! Now! Amanda knew she couldn't argue. Time was running out. With a final conflicted glance at Dmitri, she sprinted down the corridor, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm in her chest. The approaching footsteps grew louder, and she could hear Petrov barking orders. Reaching the end of the corridor, she spotted a barely visible metal panel nestled against the wall. It was her only hope. With trembling hands, she wrestled it open, revealing a dark, cramped shaft. Taking a deep breath, Amanda squeezed into the tight space, the rough metal scraping against her skin. The stench of dust and mildew assaulted her senses, but she pressed on, crawling blindly through the darkness. The sound of shouts and scuffles faded behind her, replaced by the deafening silence of the ventilation shaft. Amanda didn't know how long she crawled, her muscles screaming in protest. Every creak and groan of the metal echoed like a death knell. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she saw a faint sliver of light ahead. With a burst of adrenaline fueled by desperation, she clambered towards the light, emerging onto a deserted rooftop bathed in the pale glow of the moon. Gasping for breath, Amanda collapsed onto the cold concrete, her body racked with tremors. She had escaped Petrov, but what about Dmitri? A wave of guilt and worry washed over her. She had abandoned him, leaving him to face the ruthless KGB agent alone. Clutching the stolen document close to her chest, a new resolve hardened within her. She wouldn't let Dmitri's sacrifice be in vain. She would get this document to MI6, and she would find a way back for Dmitri. Their dance with danger had taken a deadly turn, but Amanda was far from finished. The stakes had just gotten higher. Amanda scrambled to her feet, her gaze darting around the rooftop. The city sprawled out before her in a twinkling sea of lights. She had no idea where she was, but she knew she had to find help, fast. Her only hope was to find a phone, or better yet, make her way back to the embassy. With determination burning in her veins, she began to make her way across the roof, leaping from one building to the next. The wind whipped through her hair, and the cold night air stung her cheeks. But she barely felt it. All that mattered was getting back to safety, and bringing Dmitri with her. Hours seemed to pass as she navigated through the labyrinthine streets of the city. She ducked into alleyways and weaved between abandoned cars, her heart pounding in her chest. Finally, she spotted it, the familiar outline of the British embassy. With a surge of relief, she sprinted towards it, praying that she wasn't too late. As she approached the gate, a guard stepped out, his rifle trained on her. "ID, miss," he said sternly. Amanda gulped, her hands shaking. She couldn't show her fear. She had to play it cool. I'm here to report a matter of national security," she stammered, her voice wavering. "It's urgent." The guard eyed her warily, his expression skeptical. "Come with me," he said finally, motioning for her to follow him inside. As they walked towards the main building, Amanda knew that she was one step closer to bringing Dmitri home. But she also knew that the road ahead would be far from easy. Inside the embassy, they were greeted by a flurry of activity. Secretaries hurried past them, their faces set in grim expressions. A sense of urgency hung heavy in the air. The guard escorted Amanda to a small interrogation room, where a stern-looking man sat behind a desk. "My name is Agent Johnson," he said, extending his hand. "Thank you for bringing this to our attention." He gestured for her to take a seat across from him. Amanda told them everything that had happened, from the moment she'd met Dmitri in the library to their escape from Petrov's clutches. As she spoke, Agent Johnson and the guard listened intently, their expressions growing graver with each passing moment. When she finished, Agent Johnson leaned back in his chair, steepled his fingers, and sighed. "This is a delicate situation," he began, Dimitri's been working for us, under deep cover. We've been trying to get him out for weeks now, but Petrov's been one step ahead of us the whole time. It seems you've managed to outsmart him. Amanda felt a surge of pride at his words. Then you'll help me get him back? She asked hopefully. Agent Johnson hesitated before answering. We can try, he said slowly. But it's not going to be easy. Petrov is ruthless, and he won't stop until he has what he's after. You should know that you might not be able to see Dmitri again. Amanda felt her heart sink. She knew the risks, but she couldn't help but feel a desperate need to try. Please, she begged. I have to try. I can't just leave him there. Agent Johnson studied her face for a moment before nodding. Very well, he said finally. We'll mount a rescue mission. It won't be easy, but we'll do everything we can to bring Dmitri home safely. In the meantime, we'll need you to stay here at the embassy. Your safety is just as important as his. Amanda nodded, relieved. Thank you, Agent Johnson. I appreciate everything you're doing for us. The agent stood up and extended his hand. Don't thank me yet. We haven't accomplished anything yet. But rest assured, we won't leave him there to rot. Time seemed to drag on as they waited for news of the rescue mission. Amanda paced the embassy grounds, her mind racing with thoughts of Dmitri. She tried to distract herself with books and movies, but her mind kept wandering back to him. Finally, several days later, Agent Johnson called her into his office. We have some news, he said solemnly. The mission was a success. We've managed to extract Dmitri from Petrov's compound. He's safe now, and on his way to England. Amanda let out a shaky breath, tears of relief welling up in her eyes. Thank you, Agent Johnson, she said, her voice trembling. Thank you so much. The agent smiled at her. You did good, Amanda. Real good. Now why don't you go home, get some rest, and we'll arrange for you to see Dmitri as soon as he's ready. As she left the embassy for the last time, Amanda felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. She knew that they would never be completely out of danger, but for now, they were together, and that was enough. She could finally start to heal and rebuild their lives, knowing that they had each other. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories, give us a like if you want to see more, and drop a comment below to let us know your thoughts.